Are you thinking about relocating to the Franklin, Tennessee area in 2023? If so, then stay tuned because today's video is for you. I am tackling all you need to know and more. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin Martin and I am a local Nashville real estate agent and founder of the Caitlin Martin team, powered by 𝐋𝐈𝐊𝐄 Realtors, the Andrews Group. I specialize in working with savvy sellers who want to sell right and sell smart, as well as working with out-of-staters looking to relocate to the Middle Tennessee area. Now, if this is your first time stopping by my channel, thank you so much. Please feel free to click subscribe down below so that you are notified anytime I release new video content. And we have a lot of new content coming your way in 2023. Now, if you have been here before, I am so glad you are back. We are kicking off 2023 talking about all things Franklin and relocating to the Franklin, Tennessee area. So let's go ahead and dive on in terms of what you need to know if you're thinking about making that move this year. Okay, so first things first, we've got to talk about location because this to me is one of the foundational pieces when you are considering making a move. So I have talked about this in previous videos about where Franklin's located, but if this is your first introduction when it comes to thinking about making a move to the Franklin, Tennessee area, let's first talk about location. So Franklin is going to be located about 30 minutes south of the heart of downtown Nashville. A couple of things to keep in mind. Downtown Nashville, that falls inside of Davidson County. So when you start to do your research, you're likely going to come across different county names. So just know that Davidson is going to be right around the heart of Nashville. But if you're looking at a map, once you go south down Interstate 65 and you start to see Brentwood, that's where you're going to fall into Williamson County, which is where Franklin is located. Williamson County is going to be the county that holds Franklin, most of Brentwood, most of Nolensville, Arrington, Thompson Station, half of Spring Hill, also Fairview. So as you're doing your research, just know that is what is located inside of Williamson County. And when it comes to Williamson County, part of the reason why we are seeing people flock to the Franklin area is because of some of the statistics that come with Williamson County. Historically, if you go to sites like greaterschools.org, you will find that the public school scores within Williamson County tend to be higher than other areas within the mid-state and across the state in general. So that is a draw for some people. Also, Williamson County tends to have lower crime statistics while also boasting a great local job economy. So all of these factors are part of the reasons why people are moving to the Franklin area. Now, not only that, but one of Franklin's most defining characteristics is going to be its downtown area. I've talked about this before in previous videos, but again, if this is your first time, Franklin has a really cute, quaint downtown. It has been named one of the best main streets in the US, and Main Street is super charming. It's got that Civil War style architecture in its buildings, and they've done a really great job trying to preserve the historical features of Franklin, while of course now certain places that used to be meant for other businesses, now they're shops, now they're restaurants. And so while there has been obviously some updating that's gone on, they've done a really great job of keeping that charm intact. One of the biggest examples of that is going to be the Franklin Theater down on Main Street. So there's a lot of historical charm. There's a lot of shops. It really gives you that small town America feel. However, you have the benefits of being in a larger area. So you are going to have those benefits. Not only within the city of Franklin will you have all those great amenities like close grocery stores, pharmacies, shops, restaurants, all of that, you're also still only about 30 minutes from the heart of downtown Nashville and all of that has to offer. So you kind of get the best of both worlds in Franklin, which is one of the main draws for people. Again, in addition to the fact that it's got the public school scores that it has, in addition to the great local job economy, the lower crime statistics, all of that factors into why Williamson County is an area where a lot of people are choosing to move. Now I know that we've talked a little bit about that small town feel. However, one thing that has been surprising to people as they're exploring the Franklin area is Franklin's population. Like I said, it's got a small town feel, but the city of Franklin actually holds right now about 85,000 people. So it has certainly grown in recent years because especially since about May of 2020, we really have seen this big relocation population come in, which has caused the city of Franklin to grow, which has caused the cost of real estate in Franklin to increase. But overall, Franklin is sitting right at around 85,000 people right now. Now, I just mentioned the cost of real estate, so we have to talk about the cost of living here just briefly. And I am going to be doing a larger video about the cost of living in Franklin. But if you start to look at the cost of living index, you've got 100, which basically is about that national average. And you either, if the numbers are below 100, then that means it's below the national average. If it's above 100, obviously above the national average. So when we're talking about the cost of real estate, Williamson County is actually sitting at 135 on the cost of living scale, which puts it at 35% more expensive than the average across the country. But what is the main contributing factor? Because when you're looking at cost of living, you have to look at transportation, you have to look at housing, you have to look at groceries, utilities. There's a lot of factors that go into determining the affordability, but by far, the category that contributes to Williamson County being over the national average is the housing, which I did just briefly mention it, but since about May of 2020, we have really seen this explosion within the Williamson County housing market. And that's because, again, a lot of people are relocating here and they're choosing the Williamson County, Franklin, Brentwood, Nolensville area. They're picking within Williamson County, which has caused housing prices to dramatically increase. To give you an idea, in Franklin, the median home sale price in February of 2021, which was right before we saw this, like I said, May of 2020, we started to notice this increase of relocation coming in, but it wasn't until March of 2021 when we saw that massive hit where we went from just going a little over asking to going exceedingly over asking, like 100,000 plus over asking. That's what happened to our market in the span of just a few weeks between February and March in 2021. So if we're looking back at February, the median home sale price of February 2021, the median home sale price in Franklin was $560,000. But now if we take a look at what the median home sale price in Franklin is, it's sitting at $810,000 as of December 2022. So our housing market in Franklin truly has increased. However, you may be hearing these numbers and the higher cost of living in Franklin. However, again, housing is what has dramatically contributed to that higher cost of living. Now, our market has seen a cooling off since about April of 2022. And so now we are seeing home sale prices stabilize far more, which means there's more opportunity. So you don't have to be at that 810,000 and above range to feel like you can live in Franklin. We are starting to see homes come back under the sevens to where that does make it more affordable for people who maybe can't reach that 810 yet and above. But that's not to say that you have to be at 810,000 or above in Franklin to be able to get a home. It's just we are starting to see our prices stabilize a lot more. So there are certainly opportunities to live in the Franklin area under that $810,000 mark, but this is just what the median home sale price was as of December 2022. 2022. So again, with our market stabilizing a lot more, there is going to be far more opportunity if maybe the 810 is out of your range. Now, from cost of living, I know that I have mentioned in this video already the local job economy. So Franklin is home to some big time employers in the Franklin area. And so some of the biggest industries that have the most job opportunity in Franklin are healthcare, manufacturing, and retail. So there are a lot of job opportunities. Tennessee overall has a great job economy. In fact, at the end of 2022, Tennessee was named the fastest growing economy in the country with the lowest unemployment rates on record. So in the state overall, we're sitting at a 3.2% unemployment rate. However, locally in the Middle Tennessee area, as of November 2022, we were at 2.6% in terms of our unemployment rate. So we do have a great local job economy and it continues to grow. In fact, all of the jobs that we lost due to the pandemic, we have not only recovered all of them, but we have then also added on to the number of jobs that we had pre-pandemic, which is great. So there's a lot of job opportunities. If you're looking to move here, maybe for personal reasons, and you're wondering, is there job opportunity here? There absolutely is. Some of those big employers in the Franklin area are going to be Community Health Systems, Tractor Supply Company, Mars Pet Care, Nissan North America, United Healthcare, and Ramsey Solutions, which is Dave Ramsey's company. So there's a lot of other opportunity, but those are some of the big name companies that are located in the Franklin, Tennessee area. Now, I know I've already mentioned schools. We've got to talk about schools. So when it comes to schools, all of this is going to fall into Williamson County Public Schools. Now, the interesting thing about Franklin is, in addition to Williamson County, a small section of Franklin actually falls into what is considered the Franklin Special School District, which is its own locally funded school district. And so those lines were drawn a long time ago. Sometimes there are going to be neighborhoods that are actually split between schools, where some go to the Franklin Special School District, others go to a different school or zoned for a different school. Again, this is all locally funded. If you live inside of that Franklin Special School District, there is an additional tax that does go to fund that special school district. If you're curious, a lot of times with Williamson County, you're going to find, if you're looking at greatschools.org and you want to know what the ratings of the schools are, you're going to find that a lot of them are 7s, 8s, 9s. Ravenwood High School, which is in Williamson County, but it's actually in Brentwood, that's going to be a 10 out of 10. It really is the school score ratings that is an appeal for certain people when they are looking to make a move to the Middle Tennessee area. So if you want to check that out, I would point you towards greatschools.org to really do research and figure out which schools feel like they might be of interest to you and your family. Because here's the thing, if you're thinking about moving here, you can always search by school district. So you can search within, maybe you do the research on schools and you figure out certain ones that you want your children to attend. Then you can do the home search based off of making sure the homes are zoned for those schools that you want your kids to be in. Otherwise, if you are open, you can of course look within Franklin wherever you want to be, and then of course just keep an eye on what they're zoned for. One thing to note about schools within Williamson County, you need to live where you are zoned to go. So you can't live in one zone and petition to waiver for the other. The only caveat to that is if you are building, if you can provide the school that builder contract, and maybe you're renting while you're building and maybe you don't live where that school zone is, you can use that builder contract to get your kids into that public school, showing that, hey, within that year, you will be moving into a home that is zoned for that school. So that is something to keep in mind, because a lot of times people are asking me if they can get waivers and pick which schools. So if schools are important, if certain ones become really important to you, I would suggest home shopping based on the school that you want to get into, because again, you don't have the ability to pick and choose. Now, again, the exception to that is going to be private schools. There are a lot of private schools within Williamson County. And so for private schools, of course, you don't have to live in a certain area in order to attend that school, as long as you can get your child to school. So that is something to keep in mind. A couple of the public schools in Franklin are going to be Battleground Academy, Franklin Classical School. You have Franklin Christian Academy, Grace Christian Academy, and St. Matthew's Catholic School. There are others, but those are going to be some of the bigger name ones that you hear. Now, here's something to know, because private schools in Franklin, well, within the Middle Tennessee area in general, are in high demand from preschool all the way up. It's just extremely competitive when it comes to private schools in and around the Middle Tennessee area. And so if you're thinking about making a move, I would suggest getting your research started as soon as possible, because typically the way this works is that you need to submit your applications by the beginning of the year. And so then private schools are making their decisions normally by the end of February each year. And it's not unheard of to not get the school of your choice on the first go round. You may have to try a couple of times in order to get in. It's just extremely competitive. So prepare yourself. Even outside of just the schools, even getting your kids into extracurricular activities, there can be wait lists, and that can be competitive as well. So if you are a parent, if this is something that is on your radar, I just feel like it's a good time to warn people up front, just to know there is a lot of competition, there are wait lists. So your best bet is to get a jump start on it as soon as you possibly can. Now, when it comes to shopping and restaurants, there is a lot happening in the Franklin area. You have several shopping areas. Of course, you have the little strip malls, and like I said, you've got shopping in downtown Franklin, but you also have the Cool Springs Mall, which is this huge area. There's a mall there. Yes, it's got all the stores, but outside of just the mall, the Cool Springs area is chock full of so many different restaurants, whether it's local or chain, fast food. Again, you've got so much right at your fingertips in the Cool Springs area. So that is something, if you are wanting a great date night, or you're just looking to grab a fast bite to eat with the family, there is more than enough opportunity for you. And it was just announced. This is big news and exciting for all of us here in the Nashville area. But if we're talking about restaurants and we're talking about fast food, have to mention it. But In-N-Out Burger is coming to the Middle Tennessee area. Granted, it is supposed to be 2026 before it arrives, but we are so excited. I was actually just talking with my husband about it this weekend with some family, and I was like, we have so many people that are relocating here from the West Coast. Like, they're gonna have to bring an In-N-Out with them. And lo and behold, it's happening, so we are excited. So if you are worried about leaving your In-N-Out Burger, just know, again, it's gonna be 2026 before it arrives, but it is coming, which is great news. Now, if you're somebody wondering about the nightlife, so Franklin is going to be far more quiet when it comes to nightlife, especially during the week. That's not to say there are not local bars that you can visit. However, their hours are going to be shortened compared to, say, bars downtown Nashville. Typically, nightlife is something in the Franklin area that's more reserved for the weekends. And again, it's not something that's going to be open till 3 a.m. like the honky tonks downtown. It will be open a little later, but it's not, if you're looking for the clubs and being out until the wee hours of the morning, that's not the Franklin scene. That's going to be more or less downtown Nashville. But again, there are places and great local bars that'll stay open till 11 or midnight. But generally speaking, nightlife is going to be far more tame in the Franklin area versus downtown Nashville. Now, another thing we have to talk about is internet, because I know that there are so many of us that are now able to work from home and work remote. So I have a lot of people asking me about internet. There are 5 different internet providers in the Franklin area. Xfinity is going to be the biggest one. You also have AT&T. Then there's Earthlink, and then you have HughesNet, and then Viasat. So obviously AT&T, and Xfinity are going to be your largest market share in the area, and they do have great internet speeds. Of course, there is Google Fiber throughout the Middle Tennessee area, but if you're looking overall, what are our biggest providers right now? Xfinity, AT&T, and then Earthlink comes in as third. Another thing that a lot of people ask me about when it comes to Franklin is going to be the HOAs. So we do have homeowners associations in a lot of neighborhoods in the Franklin area, but those homeowners associations and their strictness, it all depends neighborhood to neighborhood. There are several neighborhoods where it's far less of an HOA and more like covenants and restrictions, and it's very limited in what it's restricting you to. However, there are some that are going to be sticklers, and if you wanted to add a fence or if you wanted to maybe paint the outside of the house, that is something that would have to go through the HOA for approval in order to do it. Now, I know it's really hard to give a super generalized statement on this just because it does really vary neighborhood to neighborhood and what's allowed. So if we're home shopping and you're curious, of course we can discuss, kind of what the HOA situation looks like then. But overall, homeowners associations are a big thing out here. Overall, the main goal of HOAs is generally to make sure that the neighborhood maintains an attractive appearance so that home values maintain and grow. But again, sometimes you can get some Karens in there who are going to be sticklers and just make the process of maybe making some exterior home changes a little stickier. But a lot of times it's going to be not that big of a deal. Now, I know I just mentioned fences. So one thing, this ends up being a conversation that I have often, is when people come to visit, a lot of people will tell me that they don't see a lot of fences around, because that is something that a lot of people who are moving here are looking for. There is generally going to be very few restrictions on fences. It ends up being more of a personal decision, but generally speaking, fences are allowed. There are just certain requirements and qualifications with the fence. Like a lot of times they don't want you to have chain link fences or fences that are higher than 6 feet or so. And they really want to make sure that you're not trying to paint a fence, say hot pink or neon green. But generally speaking, fences are allowed. And generally speaking, there's not going to be a lot of hurdles to jump in order to put up a fence. And if we're talking about fences, I know sometimes people are asking also about other animals outside of your traditional cats and dogs. I know that several times when I've talked with people, they've been asking me about chickens, wanting to be able to have chickens or a small farm. Here's the thing, within the city limits of Franklin, chickens, poultry, that's not allowed. However, you can have chickens in the Franklin area, but it has to be outside of city limits. And generally speaking, it can't be in a neighborhood that has an HOA. So there are opportunities, say if you build on land or maybe you purchase a home that sits on several acres that doesn't have any kind of restrictions on it, that's going to provide more of an opportunity if you want to be able to have chickens or even have a little bit of a mini farm. Because again, that is something that I've come across several times. So I know that if certain people are asking me about it, I'm sure other people have questions about it too. It's just, generally speaking, when it comes to things like chicken or any sort of other animal that's outside of the traditional cat and dog, you just want to make sure that you're outside of the Franklin city limits, and it's generally not going to be allowed in a neighborhood with an HOA. So you're going to want to look for homes outside of an HOA that don't have those kinds of restrictions on them. And then I did just briefly mention building in Franklin. So that is something that a lot of people have asked me. There are building opportunities in Franklin because when Nashville became a really hot relocation town, the better part of 10 years ago. Now we've seen ebbs and flows over the last 10 years, but when it became a hot relocation town, we started to see a lot of building happening in and around the heart of the city. And so a lot of times what would happen is builders and developers would come in, they would buy a house, like a small house, generally on a decent sized lot. They knock down the small house and then they put up 2 houses on the same lot, which a lot of times you'll hear them being referred to as tall and skinnies. But they're called HPRs in the real estate world. But regardless, So there's been a fear with Franklin just because we have seen an uptick in the amount of people moving there in recent years. A lot of people have been fearful that Franklin will become overbuilt. However, at the beginning of 2021, there was an ordinance put in place that basically says any land right now that's zoned as unrestricted land, meaning you can build on it, it will not allow for lot sizes to be any smaller than 5 acres per one house. So they're really trying to do a good job of preserving Williamson County while still allowing building opportunities. But again, they're really trying to prevent developers from coming in and just sticking all of these neighborhoods in and taking away a lot of the beautiful green space. There is the opportunity to build in Franklin. You not only have new build neighborhood opportunities, so if you do want to live in a neighborhood, there are more new build opportunities in Franklin. However, if you're maybe looking to do, say, a mini farm, like I mentioned, there are going to be those opportunities too. There are still several opportunities to buy land and build on it and be able to make that really what you want it to be. So overall, I know that we've covered a lot here about Franklin, but overall, a lot of this is why people are moving here. This is why they want to be in the Franklin area. And so if maybe this, like I said earlier, maybe if this was your first introduction to the Franklin area, one thing that I would really encourage you to do is plan a trip out here if you've never explored the area, and really do that boots on the ground research, which my team and I, if you were thinking about doing that, we would love to help you. We do this all the time, and so we've got a great plan in place to just really help you maximize the trip and really get a feel for whether Franklin is the fit for you or not. But if you are thinking about making a move here and you want to start that conversation, you can click a link down below where you can go ahead and book a Zoom call with me. But maybe you're not ready for that yet, and that's okay too. I do have a free Nashville relocation guide down below that covers this and a lot more in terms of what to know about the Franklin area. So if you want to know more, please feel free to grab that. And whenever you are ready to start the conversation, we are here and we would love to talk to you. Again, my name is Caitlin Martin. I'll see you next time.